Hey Trig, we are finishing up chapter 3 this week, 3 and 3 4. One of your assignments from last week was to complete the unit circle. So just a reminder, um, we want to have kind of at the tips of our fingers, if we can, the sine, cosine, tangent of our common angles, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. Okay, and so we want to be able to also flow freely between degrees and radians. So if we look at our 30-degree angle and we sort of draw a little triangle, a little right triangle, we'd realize that's 30, 60, 90. Okay, and back in geometry, we learned that if this is 1, remember we're letting the radius be 1. That's why it's called unit circle. It's 1 unit. So this hypotenuse is 1. That's our radius. Then the x-coordinate and the y-coordinate we can find. Okay, the y-coordinate, this side opposite 30 is always half the hypotenuse. So this side length over here would be a half. And the side length across from the 60-degree angle is the square root of 3 times the side opposite the 30-degree angle, which is a half. So that's square root of 3 over 2. So that's how we get this x, y coordinate of square root of 3 over 2, a half. Okay, that's how with the, and I know you already did this, so just a reminder, with the 45, 45, 90 triangle here, with the hypotenuse, again, with the hypotenuse of 1. See where I have the 1 here. The x and the y coordinates are always square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Okay, so that's where, or I'm sorry, the side lengths are square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2 when this is 1. All right, when the hypotenuse is 1. Okay, and then with the 60 degree, it's kind of the opposite of, I mean, this is a 30, 60, 90, but now we're looking at 60 degrees opening up here. So we're just switched. The x coordinate is the smaller. The x coordinate is what's opposite the 30. So that was a half square root of 3 over 2. Of course, with 90 degrees, we're at 0, 1. So again, this radius is 1, etc. Okay, so in this case, guys, remember our formula for radians is arc length equals radius times theta. Well, we just said that the radius is going to be 1. So our arc length and theta are the same. Arc length is 1 times theta. Arc length equals theta on the unit circle. Okay? So we sort of have a different, we used to say y over r. The sine of theta was y divided by the radius, the y coordinate divided by the radius. The radius is 1 on the unit circle. So the sine of our arc length s is just y. The cosine of our arc length, or theta, whichever one you want to use, they're the same, as I just said. The cosine of the arc length is just x, not x over r anymore, because the radius is 1. Tangent and cotangent are the same because they use the y and the x coordinates and not r. Cosecant, of course, is the flip of sine, so that's 1 over y, etc. Just looking ahead, for those of you that will go on to calculus, the trig functions are called circular functions, okay? And so basically, the reason we call them circular functions is they keep repeating in that, as you see with the unit circle, over and over again, these same x and y coordinates keep being repeated no matter how many times I wrap around the unit circle. So sometimes they'll talk to you about it. They'll talk about the trig functions being circular. Okay. Here we go. So look at your lovely unit circle and see if it matches mine. Okay, we're going to be, I will have already looked at this in class. It is an assignment, so I want to make sure that you have this done. Okay, let me move myself. Okay, Why can't I get out of the way? All right. So this is what you should have. Nice and neat unit circle completed. Okay? Maybe, I think I have the lines drawn in, but just understanding where we are. And with all these, again, we just had to memorize the first quadrant, I feel like. And then the rest, I just have to know what sign. I have to think about, okay, the fact that X is negative and Y is positive in the second quadrant. So all my X coordinates are negative. X and Y are both negative in the third quadrant. So all my X and Y coordinates are negative over here, etc. Okay. So what I want you to notice is, let's look at pi over 3. Okay. Pi over 3 is in quadrant 1. So the cosine, oops, here we are. Cosine's a half. The sine square root of 3 over 2. Why? Because the x coordinate is a half. The y coordinate is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine is the x coordinate. Sine is the y coordinate. Now, if we go over here to quadrant 2, I'm showing you this. Pi minus pi over 3 is 2 pi over 3. Okay, can you see 2 pi over 3 right here? Okay, I was trying to get you to, if you didn't quite get this completed, you can get it completed now. In quadrant 2, it's symmetry across the y-axis to where pi over 3 was. Okay, they're symmetric across the y-axis. Does that make sense? So their y-coordinate is the same, but their x-coordinate is opposite. Okay? Down here, if we take pi plus pi over 3, or pi plus, or 180 plus 60 degrees, however you want to think of it. Now I'm down here at 4 pi over 3. I'm in quadrant 3. If you'll notice, that's symmetric right across the origin. 4 pi over 3 and pi over 3. Do you see them? I'm comparing everything to pi over 3 as to where is it symmetric. The symmetry type and the corresponding point. So on my corresponding point, I started with pi over 3. That's why it wasn't applicable to say what's pi over 3 symmetric to compared to pi over 3. Well, it's the same. It doesn't make sense. That's why it says not applicable. We're starting there. Okay. Quadrant 3, then I'm symmetric across the x-axis, correct? Across the origin. So completely opposite. Whatever pi over 3 was, my xy's are going to be opposites. Okay, instead of positive half, it's negative a half. Instead of square root of 3 over 2, it's negative square root of 3 over 2. And then 5 pi over 3, of course, is symmetric across the x-axis. So the x's are the same, but the y's are opposites. Just an idea. That's how this first quadrant works. That's why I always say, just memorize this right here, guys, this first quadrant. And then if you understand symmetry, if you understand the unit circle, that's all you have to memorize is right here. Okay? And then that's all at your fingertips. Guys, it's just like anything else. I know people are like, I have my calculator, I don't need to memorize. It just makes the rigorous work that you'll have to do in application problems harder when you have to be fumbling with your calculator. Your brain gets tired, okay? It takes longer. It's just like factoring in college algebra. If you don't have some of those multiplication facts right at your fingertips, if you're looking at 56 and 8 times 7 doesn't just pop in your head, if you're looking at 28 and you're not sure what multiplies to that and you're struggling with your calculator, all that factoring takes so much longer. That's why it is worth the time to try to get some of this right at your fingertips so that your brain is fresh to handle the hard stuff and not be fumbling around. Okay. Anyway, I hope that you got that unit circle correct now. Okay. Domain of the trig functions. Very important. We fooled with this a little bit. First of all, I want you to understand these. Please don't say sin. Don't say cos. Okay. We're in trigonometry now. I get that we didn't maybe know those words before, but this is actually sine. It's spelled S-I-N-E. Okay, the sine of S, the domain of it is all reals. Remember the one on the test, it said, what's possible? Is this possible or not possible or something like that? Anything's possible with sine. You can take the sine of anything. Okay, all reals. Cosine, all reals. Love sine and cosine. And that's how you say this. You don't say cos, you say cosine. Tangent, a little bit different because I have y over x. And sometimes x is 0. So I am not all reals. Okay? S cannot be 2n plus 1 pi over 2 where n is any integer. Look at how that is, guys. That's very important. That means any odd number pi over 2. If n is any integer, let's say n is 1, then 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. If n is 2, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. You'll always get an odd number here. And that's where tangent does not exist. It doesn't exist at 1 pi over 2. It doesn't exist at 3 pi over 2. It doesn't exist at 5 pi over 2. It doesn't exist at 7 pi over 2. Negative pi over 2, negative 3 pi over 2, all those odds. Okay? Cosecant. We have to be careful with all the n pi's. Any n, pi, 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi. Cosecant does not exist. Why? Because it's 1 over sine, and that's where the y coordinate is 0. Wherever y is 0, nope, not happening. Secant is the same as tangent, okay? Because think of it, tangent's y over x. Secant is 1 over x. When x is 0, tangent and secant don't exist. Cotangent is different than tangent, kind of the opposite. It's the same as cosecant, okay? Because it's x over y. So where y doesn't exist, where y is 0, I mean, is where cotangent does not exist. 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. Okay? You can pause that if you want to get those down in your notes. Very important that you know. There you go. There's all the domains. Sine and cosine, love them. All reals, thank you. Right? And then we just have to really think about when the denominator, tangent and secant have x in the denominator. So when x is 0 and etc. Okay. All right. So they're going to be asking us, you can use your unit circle for a while, and then I am going to take it away. Okay. But find the exact value. Try not to use a calculator. Sine of 5 pi over 3. What I think of is pi over 3. I know that the sine of pi over 3 is square root of 3 over 2. So now I'm thinking, where's 5 pi over 3? Okay, 5 pi over 3 is in the fourth quadrant. Okay, sine in the fourth quadrant is negative. So the only difference is it's not square root of 3 over 2. It's a negative square root of 3 over 2. How do I know 5 pi over 3 is in the fourth quadrant? Guys, it goes, this is 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 3 is pi, 4 pi over 3, 5 pi over 3, and 6 pi over 3 is 2 pi. Right, so I'm back here. So I just kind of think about where the thirds of pi are. Negative 5 pi over 3. I got to think, okay? I'm not here. I'm going to go negative 5 pi over 3. Doesn't that just take me to pi over 3? If I'm going in the negative direction, 5 pi over 3. So the tangent of pi over 3 is square root of 3. You'd have to look at your unit circle maybe. Like once you have those in your head, you know what it is. So that's going to be square root of 3 as well. Okay? Calculator will give you the decimal approximations. I get that. So you'll be okay for a while supported by your calculator. And you always will be able to use your calculator. You just won't always be able to use the unit circle. Memorize it. First quadrant, that's all. Okay, just the first quadrant. Okay, so here I'm going to have to use my inverse cosine button because this isn't anything I'm familiar with. This 0.9685. So I do inverse cosine, like right here, and I get about 0.25 radians, about a quarter radians. Okay, pi over 4, however, I know that the inverse tangent, and 1 is something that comes back at me as 45 degrees or pi over 4. Okay, but this is asking specifically, what quadrant is this, guys? From pi to 3 pi over 2. Is that the third quadrant? Do you see where pi to 3 pi over 2 is the third quadrant? Well, that's fine. Then I have to find the pi over 4 that's in the third quadrant, which is 5 pi over 4. Okay, your homework is on page 126. It's a review of 3.1 to 3.3. Okay, page 126, that whole quiz that's on there. All right? See you in class. Thanks.